This week, Rolling Stone dropped what's clearly a hit piece against Sam Levinson, the creator of HBO's hit series starring Zendaya, Euphoria, and his upcoming show, The Idol, which stars music superstar and my kid's favorite artist, The Weeknd and Lily-Rose Depp in her first big starring role. Now, why would Rolling Stone want to tank Lily-Rose Depp's first new show? Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and yes, we're going to go down deep in the wormhole and talk about Rolling Stone, its past with Johnny Depp, and its recent article attacking Euphoria creator Sam Levinson. Now, look, I do have to say right at the beginning, I have never actually watched Euphoria. I've seen parts. I know what it's about. It's very gritty. It's very intense. It's very explicit. That has become his sort of shtick. I want to go through this article because it's very clear to me, the red flags in it, that prove that this piece isn't really just journalism. This is a biased piece that is out to destroy this show. Why? We always got to ask ourselves questions like, why are they attacking this show and not something else? Okay, they got a couple sources, right? I'm sure they could have sourced 13 or 14 or 50 people involved in the show who would have spoken positively. But no, Rolling Stone chose to focus on the 13 sources that were willing to talk crap about a show they still have yet to see. Now, why, guys? Why are they doing that? There's a lot to unpack here. In fact, I'm going to break down the whole story about why Rolling Stone hates Johnny. I need more time to really break that down. And in fact, I'm realizing I want to give that to you as its own video. So before we even break this down, make sure if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and leave your comments down below. This is just the tip of the iceberg, guys, and it's important you know it all. So please stay tuned. We're going to get that to you tomorrow, but it's important that you know for this video that Rolling Stone hates Johnny Depp, and they have a history of it. In fact, the defining moment started in June of 2018. While he was suing his former managements and lawyers, Rolling Stone published this hit piece. And it turned out their new owners had some connections to his management. Guys, it's sinister. In fact, I gotta be careful about what I say. I'm gonna save it for tomorrow. You're not going to miss it. But it's all connected to this piece. Rolling Stone's history with Johnny Depp is undeniable. And if you don't believe me, go Google Johnny Depp and Rolling Stone and see the results of their headlines. Now, I want to focus on this article because, look, because of all this, because of their treatment of Johnny and Marilyn Manson, I always treat Rolling Stone differently. I don't trust them. There's something off about this piece. Now, I spoke to a production person who was involved in Euphoria, and I have some feedback on Sam Levinson that they gave me. It does seem like he thrives in the chaos. The quote I got from someone who worked with him, Sam loves the chaos. He believes chaos creates art. If you watch Assassination Nation, his first movie, and Euphoria, you could tell where his creativity lies. He's a very nice guy if you're on his good side, but also has a temper. Heard he punched a wall because he couldn't get his way. His style is gratuitous when it comes to, what he shows and stuff, but I don't think he means to come off as pervy. He's just, in his 30s, probably using it as shock factor. The abuse is rampant in our industry, but working on Sam's show is worse because now Euphoria is a hit and he can get away with anything. He also employs a lot of inexperienced friends. This source, which compliments him too, feels much more realistic than the ones that you're going to read in this piece from Rolling Stone. Because again, they don't want to do anything positive about Sam. They only want to show you negative. And that's something you got to notice in some of these pieces. Real journalism should speak to both sides. If you really want to learn about someone, do a profile on somebody, speak to people who also like them. When you choose not to do that, well, that's what I would call a hit piece. You're out there to destroy someone rather than attempt to profile someone as complicated, what they work on. And this source, and I appreciate the source you wrote, thank you. It did give me some perspective because, yeah, it sounds like he's a pain to work with for some. If you're not on his good side, he's going to treat you differently. But it didn't sound like he's as bad as this article is painting him out to be. And while I don't know the guy and I haven't really watched Euphoria, I don't know how explicit things get, I know it's very popular. So clearly he's going to try to match that formula for his next show. It makes total sense to me. I'm just frustrated because this show features Lily-Rose, features The Weeknd, also I'm a fan of, and I just don't like when Rolling Stone decides, we're going to go destroy this person. Not on my watch. Let's break this down and really look for the red flags. Now, it's clear right from the title and its byline, The Idol, how HBO's next Euphoria became twisted torture, but rhymes with corn. 13 sources tell Rolling Stone that The Idol, Sam Levinson's new show with The Weeknd and Lily-Rose Depp, has gone wildly, disgustingly off the rails. They are clearly trying to take this show down. This is not good implications at all. I don't know about you, but when I looked at this, I was like, well, damn, what are they doing on this set? Let's roll through and figure out what actually is happening. Now, right at the gate, their first source, Red Flag 1, talks about how the show's been delayed. And they try to use that as its first red flag. A source with knowledge of production schedule tells us it was supposed to air in the fall after House of the Dragon. And now all the teaser trailers only offer vague later this year dates. This proves nothing. Right at the gate, they're trying to show like HBO has no idea what to do with the show because they haven't announced a date yet. But then later in the article, if you go all the way down, it shows that they were shooting all the way through September to take advantage of shows The Weeknd did in LA at the SoFi Stadium to use his thousands of fans in attendance as extras for the series. So which is it? Were they still shooting in September, or were they supposed to be wrapped by the end of October for House of Dragons? Even their own sources can't make sense of any of this. Now, the next important thing to know is who was actually working on the show, because Sam Levinson was working on the last season of Euphoria and didn't show up until later into this shooting of The Idol. It was actually director Amy Smites who was brought in and then exited last April after the show was apparently 80% complete of its 6 episodes. Now, this did create some questions in the industry. Trades and whatnot were reporting that obviously there must have been some problems, creative differences as they call. And as we go through all this, you're going to see, yeah, that's clearly what this is all about. But they're sneaking in this little part here that The Weeknd, who is a co-creator, felt the show was heading too much into a female perspective. So they're now trying to announce this through sources that he wasn't okay with a female story. Meanwhile, you got Lily-Rose Depp, who has defended this show, and we'll get to her quote in a second. She's had no problems with this show. It's all anonymous crew members, disgruntled people that are going to come forward. And it seems like it's a bunch of crew people who are all associated with this person, Cymats, who got, kicked out. Interviews with 13 members of the show. Now, that's important because throughout this piece, they're going to tell you how many of those 13 people confirmed what they heard. 13 people of various thoughts have come forward and talked about, the problems with this show and how they rewrote and reshot everything, which is so common in shows. With her out of the picture, they hand the reins back to Levinson. Duh. He's their, golden child who made Euphoria, which is a big hit. And why they're making this show is because it's his vision, not hers. They brought her in to facilitate his image, his vision rather, but clearly they weren't aligned. And so all the crew members are now complaining, what I signed up for was a dark satire of fame and the fame model in the 21st century, a production member explains. The things that we subject our talent and stars to that forces that put that people in the spotlight and how that could be manipulated in the post-Trump world. It went from satire to the thing it was satirizing. Wait, what does this have to do with Trump and the Trump world? So this person just has a creative problem with the direction that the show took. And mind you, this person hasn't even seen the final show because none of us has. It's not done yet. They're all commenting on this before anything has been released to the public. 4 of those 13 sources say that Levinson scrapped Smites' approach. How would they know if they left? They scrapped that and made it less about the troubled starlet falling victim to the predatory industry figure and fighting to reclaim her own agency, and more of a degrading love story with a hollow message that some crew members describe as being offensive. They talked about it was like an R fantasy that any toxic man would have. The woman comes back for more because it makes her music better. Maybe that's just season 1. Maybe they realize, well, we gave all the story out in season 1. This is really good. Let's stretch it out. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Again, that's the stress here. Have any of you seen it? Why are these people complaining about something they haven't seen? And they're also all complaining about the creative, the message behind the show, that it doesn't align with them. And it may not align with people as they watch it. It may not align with me. It may not align with you. Some of these critiques may be fair when the show comes out. But all I'm saying is, let's see the show come out before we start knocking it creatively. Now, here's some comments that I wanted to show. Lily-Rose Depp herself, she provided a statement to Rolling Stone. She called Levinson the best director she's ever worked with, saying she has never felt more supported or respected in a creative space, my input and opinions more valued. It was a longer quote that she had, and they didn't, of course, include it all, but she's making it very clear that this was a wonderful set to work on. Shouldn't her opinion matter? And here you got HBO also saying that, yeah, most exciting and productive original program. Creative team has been committed to creating a safe, collaborative, mutually respectful working environment. And last year, the team made creative changes they felt were in the best interest of both the production, the cast, and the crew. Yeah, this is creative differences. It's always what they call it. And those are the positive things you're going to get, the quotes that then were added after the fact. But this is a show dreamed up by The Weeknd, this Reza Fahim, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, and Sam Levinson. Went in development. They ordered it into series. And there are some other females involved, including Mary Laws, who works on Succession. Fantastic show. Watch Succession if you've never done it. Final season's coming. I can't wait. But this was all for they brought in Simetz for her psychological thriller she had made previous and thought she would be good for the show's dark and sinister themes. But 3 crew members allege that Simetz seemed to set up to fail from the start. When she arrived on the set 7 weeks before the show started filming and was given half-finished scripts, a first-time showrunner, tight schedule, and near impossible expectations from HBO. Amy was doing her best in an impossible situation, but she was going to lose this no matter what. Now, that could be true. This could totally be true. In fact, it looks like it probably was. It wasn't what they wanted. Honestly, I think HBO handed her a S-stack. Well, I think they handed her a complicated, project from a showrunner that wasn't there because he was busy finishing up his other show. And when he showed up, he's like, this isn't what I want. I'm not okay with this. I want it more like Euphoria. That could be good or bad. We don't know yet, but that's his right. But now we have this hit piece out there because it's not what this showrunner who was brought in. And again, I do think there's a lot of because she's the female and he's the man, that's what made this show not fair. Even though there's 2 characters in this show, there's the woman and the man. But no, it should have been more about the female, not the man. Are you guys seeing between the lines here? They're trying to make this a sexist thing, trying to make it seem like he's a problem with women. A lot of this is what I'm seeing in here. There she is. That's the director. And again, I've never worked with her. I don't know. I'd be happy to hear from her insight. She's worked on a lot of popular shows. And maybe she did have not a great experience on the show. But does that mean we should be tanking this? Just because you have creative differences doesn't necessarily mean that that's bad, is all I'm trying to get at. And here's where things get even darker. They try to make Sam Levinson look like a pervert. Crew members said, now only 2 of them said this. 2 crew members said, not 13, 2 of them only confirmed seeing Levinson physically on set a few weeks into production. And it was also the day that Lily-Rose Depp was filming her first intimate scene with The Weeknd. Now right there, they're trying to allege that he's a creepy perv. Oh, he's only there to see her boobs. That's so offensive to Lily-Rose Depp, who's clearly not made that complaint. And they're just trying to paint him in this creepy, sexist way. Again, red flag city. Another stressor was the fact that, Levinson had an entirely different vision of what the idol should be. Okay, how is he not allowed to have that? That's where I'm confused. And even the source who came forward in the beginning and expressed how he worked, he's clearly very controlling creatively. He has a vision. He wants to follow it. That's his right. Until he's no longer viable, HBO doesn't like him, or he's done stuff that clearly is problematic, HBO is going to support him in his vision. And that's the way it should be, no? I just get so confused by all this. I went into Idol thinking that this might be an interesting collaboration, but I left pretty convinced that Levinson is not quite collaborative. So didn't even fully say he's not collaborative. He's not quite collaborative. It's really frustrating seeing Amy doing her damn best to turn around some kind of product that she can be somewhat proud of to HBO, and then HBO to turn around and have Sam get essentially a blank check to turn into Euphoria season 3 with pop stars is extremely frustrating. Now look, sure, that's frustrating, but I'm sorry, Amy, I've never heard of you. And Sam made Euphoria. That's how the industry works. Go make a show that you're proud of. And then won't you want to have that creative control? Or will you want some male showrunner to come in, take the reins, and then you have to listen to them? Or do you have the right to say, no, the way you went isn't what I wanted and I want to change it? I'm sure you would want to have that freedom as well, no? So I don't understand what this is even about. People say that they were fans. It was gripping. This is all creative differences. This is really problematic to me as I read it because I'm like, this is just a bunch of disgruntled crew members. And I get upset because they're just complaining. It was insane. The productions, they were changing scenes, taking the story away. Welcome to Hollywood. And then here, Rolling Stone does what they do best. Again, hit piece. They put him next to his father, Barry Levinson. He's a Nepo baby. Barry Levinson, if you don't know, fantastic filmmaker. Rain Man, Good Morning Vietnam, so many, Diner, Avalon. I'm a big fan of Barry Levinson's films. And honestly, I didn't even really know the connection. I didn't think it through. But yeah, now people are trying to say, oh, well, he's only famous because of his father. And they're putting that in there, his father, director, just so you're like, oh, that's why. It's just a mean shot. Now, sure, nepotism's real. It does if Lily-Rose Depp, him, it's real. It helps. But you still got to put the work in. And they're doing it. Executives, we're adding a scene, but it hasn't been written yet. Welcome to Hollywood. Executives were supposedly, including The Weeknd, were supposedly pleased with Cymatz's early cuts and the show's direction, according to a person familiar. So here we have The Weeknd apparently okay with the female perspective. But then later when Levinson comes in, no. Then it suddenly changes. This report has its own contradictions that The Weeknd was okay with it, was pleased, and then he wasn't. So what am I supposed to buy here? I don't buy any of it. Clearly, we're stuck in creative differences. Levinson showed up, had conversations with The Weeknd. It's their show. They changed it. Now, they're trying to put out there, the media, Rolling Stone is saying they wanted to drop the feminist lens throughout the show. And maybe that was a real critique. Maybe they're like, look, we don't want this to be solely through the feminist eyes. We want it to be through both characters' eyes. Let's see it from both perspectives. Let's actually try to make this bad guy, let's see it from his perspective too, and like lean into it. Okay, that's a creative choice that they're allowed to make, in my opinion. That's why I'm frustrated. I want to see this. I may hate this show, but I want to see it before we critique it. It was like The Weeknd wanted to do one show that was all about him, and Sam was on board with that. But then they couldn't make him the focus because he was on tour. So again, only reiterates why this show maybe was complicated and why everyone was, feeling the chaos. I'm really heartbroken that Amy wasn't there to see it through. She put her neck on the line. She really tried to make it work and fit a square peg into a round hole. So they were saying like the female version was the right way. Sam's male version was the wrong way. When production of The Idol resumed in May, a majority of the crew members from the shoot did not return. Well, later they revealed that they weren't. Look, I'm not sure I would have even taken it had I been asked to return. So notice how Rolling Stone wrote it like they were all fired. No, that they left rather. No, they weren't offered the gig clearly because they were like, you guys didn't do a good job. We don't like you. But then yet the cast, Troye Sivan, Savannah's son, they all showed up. And then, Levinson upped the star wattage, brought in Rachel Sennett, Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, Hank Azaria, et cetera, et cetera. Mega producer Mike Dean casted K-pop superstar Jennie of Blackpink. So, they're trying to make the show bigger, better. And then these old disgruntled sources, they're all excited about Jennie of Blackpink being there, but she only has 3 or 4 lines per episode. They didn't let her talk much. Her job was to sit there and look pretty, basically. Okay, so this is, that's the opinion I want to hear from. Clearly, you're not disgruntled at all. And then people who worked said it wasn't no better than the first shoot. So again, pointing out that the first shoot also was chaotic. The one that he wasn't involved in was chaotic, and now this one was chaotic. Yeah, it sounds like this show was chaotic. I was so drained by the end of it. I can't have a job that makes me cry every day because I have 2 hours of sleep. Welcome to Hollywood. My God, if you don't like it, get another job. Hollywood is brutal. And I'm not trying to say I support them doing whatever they want in the set. And maybe this guy is an a-hole and should remain in. And hopefully maybe he learns from this a bit. But, that's the job. It's so tense. It's so stressed. The pressure, the amount of money. There are good sets and there are bad sets. And there's a lot of sets now that try to make it so there aren't any a-holes in their sets. And good. This one clearly is one. And now I understand crews talking amongst themselves saying, man, that was a hard one. Don't work on that. But to go to Rolling Stone and give them this, to give them that hit piece, it really bugs me. I don't like this. It's just a lot of stuff here. They talk about, I got to be careful. Some of this stuff, my highlighter went off. They talk about a lot of the explicit stuff. And then they mention that all these explicit, really awful scenes weren't even filmed. So they're complaining about stuff that they didn't even actually go and shoot. They even say, like, I don't know what's going to be in the final product. Well, then it's unclear what will actually wind up. I have no idea what's going to be in the final cut. Then what are we complaining about? And then they admit that Simon's version also had these explicit stuff as well, but Levinson dramatically ramped up the explicit content, his calling card, to basically do what he did with Euphoria. And he's been criticized for that. Some of his actors, they bring in now past actors who said, like, there are moments when Cassie was supposed to be shirtless, and I would tell Sam, I don't really think it's necessary. He was like, okay, we don't need it. So what's the issue? This guy's clearly trying to be edgy. He's doing this. It's worked. And his own cast is telling him, I don't want to do this. And he's like, okay. It's not even like she's like, I had to really fight for it. They're trying to make this guy look like a complete a-hole. And it just bugged me. And then they try to say that the budget ballooned to double its cost of $75 million. Warner Brothers, HBO, you're telling me, doubled the cost to $74 million? I find that so hard to believe, given that they just threw away Batgirl, and even the article admits this. It's a surprise, given that Warner Brothers has been cutting all its... Exactly, it doesn't make any sense. It's not a surprise. I just don't buy this. So it's hard for me to actually accept any of this through Rolling Stone's bias. And I want to end you here with The Weeknd's response to it all, where he slams Rolling Stone with a clip from The Idol. Here he is at Rolling Stone. Did we upset you?
So Rolling Stone came back to us about a cover, and I think it's worth pursuing.
Rolling Stone? Are they a little irrelevant?
It's a cover. It's a heritage brand. I think it's fail-safe.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it might be kind of past its prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nobody cares about Rolling Stone.
Well, I know a few writers over there that I think would handle whatever we want to do with them in a really careful way, which I think is important at this point.
Rolling Stone has 6 million followers on Instagram.
I looked up. It is true. They do. I think it might be getting closer to 7, but they did clearly shoot this a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them probably bots.
Well, I don't know about that.
And Jocelyn has 78 million followers.
I am aware of her follower count.
All real, I'd assume.
Mm-hmm.
So she does a photo shoot, she tags them, they get her followers, more money for Rolling Stone, nothing for Jocelyn.
There's a lot for Jocelyn.
Not on Rolling Stone.
So he's throwing massive shade. I mean, it's also clear when you watch it that the character is a character. Clearly, this guy's going to be a bad guy and a dumb guy. We're not going to be rooting for this guy. But he uses an opportunity to be like, yeah, we don't like you. No one respects you. Even these bad people don't respect you, Rolling Stone. How did Rolling Stone respond? Oh, well, their editor-in-chief, Noah Shackman, had to say, not at all. You didn't upset me. In fact, then he tried to show a few photos of The Weeknd being on their cover. Man, it wasn't even just that. When you go here, that you scroll down, there was one. This guy works in the industry. Baby Boy, if you're going to tweet about it, at least link the article, Kiss. Baby Boy? What is going on with the media today? Rolling Stone, they're all like teaming up against The Weeknd, just trying to destroy him and Lily-Rose and everybody involved in this series, especially Sam Levinson. So what's really behind all this? And what is the history with Johnny Depp and Rolling Stone? Well, again, like I said, you're not going to miss tomorrow's episode. Make sure you hit that button of subscribing, hit the bell for alerts so you get notified, smash that like button, and leave a comment down below on your thoughts. If you really want to help, hit the 3 little dots near there and click on the super thanks. You can leave a super thanks comment. I'm going to need it after the people I'm exposing tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on Popcorn Planet and enjoy your weekend.